What's going on, guys? Kevin Gallagher here with another marketing, and just kidding, I got the MacBook Pro. It's MacBook Pro Day. It is here. I'm super amped up and excited, and we are gonna take a look at this bad boy. So let's get it going right. Alright guys, as just stated, today is MacBook Pro Day for me. And if I'm being quite honest with you, yesterday was MacBook Pro Day. But I wanted to tinker with it a little bit before I really got into the details with all of you. But I went ahead and already opened it up, already set it up. And isn't she lovely? Check this bad boy out. So right off the bat, I want to point out a couple of things. I have always been a PC guy. Sitting on my desk right now, being utilized on a daily basis, is a Lenovo as my big beast. This is a 17-inch monitor, laptop, Lenovo. This puppy has 2 terabytes of solid-state hard drive. It is a complete workhorse, and I do the majority of everything that I do on a day-to-day basis on there. The other computer that I have is a Dell. It is a Dell Latitude E5550. You know, another decent PC. I do a lot of migration, website migration on this computer, and just other things that I don't want to weigh that computer down. Now, I can't do video editing on that Latitude for some reason. Whenever I try to video edit, it crashes. So I don't do a lot on there. So I have full transparency. I have never owned an Apple computer. So a lot of other people's comparisons, like if you look at Casey Neistat or some of the other vloggers out there that have done the comparison between the 15 and the 16, this is not going to be that. I might touch on it for a second, but I'm not going to take a lot of time to talk about the differences in Apple products. I don't know the answer to that question. But what I want to give you the perspective on is what it looks like for somebody who's always owned a PC to, for the first time in their life, at 38 years old, might I add, switching to MacBook Pro. So let's start with why I switched to MacBook Pro. I switched to Apple from PC simply because when you take a look at the creative space, most people in that landscape use Apple products. They use a MacBook, they use a desktop, whatever it might be, but they use either the MacBook Pro laptop or the MacBook or the Mac computer. What are they called? I've got to do my homework on all of it. But no matter what, they're using this product. And the reason why is because of the processors, of the screen resolution, and it comes standard with so much of what you need in order to do it that it kind of makes sense. So for example, I use WeVideo up until today. This video is actually, I'm going to be using iMovie, I think it's called. Again, I'm new to Mac world. I'm eventually going to download and buy Final Cut Pro X, just because I know it's a very popular Apple app for video editing. But for now, I'm going to be using the stock standard one. It looks exactly like WeVideo Online, which I pay about $55 a year for. I am now not going to have to do that. You know, and amongst other things, there's a lot of reasons why I'm switching over, but I'm excited about it. So let's start with which one did I go with. Now, in the MacBook Pro 16, there are 3 standard options that you could go and buy, and then there's a lot of customizations. Sorry, but I'm going to drink my latte while we do this. That's the good latte. I went with the base model MacBook Pro 16. So it's got 16 gigabytes of DDR4 memory. It's got the 512 gigabytes of PCIe-based solid-state drive. So I didn't go with the terabyte, and this is also the 6-core i7, 12 megabytes shared L3 cache, turbo boosted up to 4.5 gigahertz. So I went with the base model. Now, why did I do that? First off, the majority of what I do is based online. So when I'm doing website development or something along those lines, I'm using online products. I'm not using things that are stored on my computer, softwares, I should say, not products. I'm not using software that's stored on my computer. So as far as processor speed, that 6 core is going to be more than enough for me and what I needed to do day in and day out. Now, if it gets glitchy a couple years from now, this suddenly becomes my son's computer and, well, one of my son's computers, and I end up increasing to the terabyte and everything else. Why didn't I go with a 1 terabyte drive or up to an 8 terabyte drive as an option? The reason I didn't do that is because I use external hard drives, and if you look at a lot of vloggers right now, if you watch their vlogs, there's a lot of creative things. I've seen some people actually put a cover on their MacBook and then put a strip of Velcro. Strip of Velcro on here, and then they take their hard drive and they actually stick it on there so it's always with them at all times. This is too pretty for me to do that too, so I'm not going to do that, but this is what I use. This is, I forget how many terabytes this is, but this is a stupid amount of terabytes. I could get so much on here. So what I do is, a lot of my videos, once I'm done producing them, they immediately get dumped onto the external hard drive, and it's cheaper. If I went with the 1 terabyte, it was another $400. It'd be cheaper for me to just buy 4 external hard drives and use that as the workhorse. So that's my plan, at least for now, and we'll see how it goes from there. So let's start with the box. Since this isn't a true unboxing, I want to start with how it came. Most of the time when you buy a PC, because again, I'm a PC guy going to a Mac, when you buy a PC, it comes in a brown box with styrofoam padding. The MacBook Pro comes in a very nice package. When you open it up, and again, you're not going to see all the stuff necessarily laid out in there, but come on. But this is a very solid box. There's no styrofoam in it at all, which first and foremost, most companies should be getting away from styrofoam anyway. This is all paper, cardboard, and if you look, I mean, look at the thickness of the box. This is, you feel like you've purchased, let's be for real, the MacBook Pro is not a cheap investment in a computer. If you want a cheaper investment in a computer, you could get a PC for $600, ride off into the sunset happy as a pig. But the MacBook Pro is a $2,500 investment. So you gotta do what you gotta do here. But everything about this packaging, you can't really see it in the video, but this liner here, it's corrugated, it's got a texture to it. The box just feels good. I mean, it's really amazing. And then when you look inside, everything is laid out like this. This is where the charging cord was, and then this was the big cube of the charging cord was here, and then your stickers and whatnot, which my sons have already stolen. So I got space gray. So these were the space gray. One of my sons stole his sticker already because they've already claimed them, but they come inside of that package. This is what you get. This is how it comes boxed up, and it's when you're looking at it and you're holding it in your hands, you just feel like you're holding something that is carrying an extremely quality product. So next, I want to talk about pet peeves about this, from going from a PC to a Mac. What are my pet peeves? And there is only 2 of them, 2, 3. I think I thought of a 3rd one this morning, but I'll see when we get there. The first pet peeve. If you are someone who's used to a PC, then you are used to a charging cord that looks like this. Not to mention, you're used to it being very long and then having some kind of a little thing, you see, like this. Let me just try to get that focused on there. You have like a little holder like this, so that when you wrap up your cord, it clicks in place, and then this goes in your bag with you. But you can have as much cord and as little cord as you want with this. 2 things with the charger. Check out the size of this versus the size of this. I mean, now granted, one thing I'll say, if you look at some other vlogs, the charging ability of this versus the 15's charger is better. But this, I guess if I were being honest with you, this is this section of this charging cord. But when you plug this into a strip like I do, I have a power strip here on the side of my desk. It takes up half of the power strip. It's gigantic. I would rather see Apple do something more similar to this, where you have some cord that goes to one of these converter boxes and then goes down into the outlet. You get this and you get this. Okay, here's the next section of this. Size as well as cord length. If I were to hold up the PC plug length versus this. Now this is a good amount of cord length, don't get me wrong, but you get almost a full foot extra with both of the PC cords, whether it's Lenovo or Dell. You get a full foot extra with this than you do with this. And then my other pet peeve is, once you go to wrap this up, you're like, hey, I'm all done for the day. So you start wrapping it up. And then there's nothing, there's nowhere for it to go. You just got to shove this whole thing into your bag. Look, I'm not saying I'm OCD because I'm not that OCD, but it bothers me. It really does. The second thing that is a turnoff for me, going from PC to Mac, is the use of USB-C. Here's my issue with USB-C. The world is not outfitted to USB-C. So you have to buy what they call the dongle or some kind of a multi-port device to keep with you. So now when you're going somewhere, you gotta grab this monster, shove it in your bag. You gotta grab your multi-port, shove it in your bag. There's all this crap you gotta take with you in order just to go from A to B. It's too much. It's a pain in the butt. That is a big sticking point for me. It's something that really bothers me about Apple is that. However, it's not a big enough issue to really piss me off. So for now, I'll deal with it and see how we go. I can't think of the third thing, but if we come up with it, then I'll hit you up and we'll go from there. But otherwise, let's jump into the computer and just start to look at things look at aspects of the computer as compared to PC. One thing right off the bat that I want to point out is how fast the Apple turns on. So let's angle this a little bit. Oh, no, you can see. So when I open this up and I hit this is the power button up here, which you'll learn more about. And I press this button, it starts up. Let's see how long it takes for it to start up. All right, here's the screen. We go like this. It's on and it's ready to use within 30 seconds, okay? Over here, this is the Lenovo that I was telling you about. We all know what it's like when you have PCs. You come in and you start it up. Let's take a look at how long it takes for the PC to start up. We're already at 30 seconds right now. 40 seconds. All right, here we go. It's on, but this is a PC, not an Apple. So what does that mean? It's on, but it's not ready to use. In fact, it won't be ready to use for about another 2 minutes because it has to just warm up for some reason. It's immensely frustrating. It's probably the thing I hate the most about PCs is after they get to about 2 years old, it takes them forever to start. It drives me out of my mind. But it took about a full minute just to start up, and now it's going to take longer than that just to get moving along. The Dell that I use, it's a lot faster than that. The Dell's about 2 years newer than this computer, and it does get moving pretty quick. I would say, like, instead of this where it's probably a 5-minute start time just right off the bat when you get in the morning, the Dell's probably more like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. So It's not too bad. It starts up pretty quick, but it still has to warm up once it's on. You can't just immediately go into an app like you can with Apple. All right, so let's now talk about the screen. First and foremost, when I opened this up, I was blown away by the resolution and the quality of the screen. It's 226 pixels per inch. So, you know, you're getting a ton of pixels, not to mention resolution is just, it's crystal clear. And one of the coolest features about this is you see this screensaver you have here. This screensaver is probably always going to be my screensaver. And the reason why, there's other options for this, but right now it's day and it's daytime on the island. But tonight, once the clock hits about 6:30, 7 o'clock, stars come out and it gets all dark and dim as if it was nighttime. It is really cool. The other thing it does is right now I have it in light mode. I use my iPhone, I use in dark mode. I keep that dark. But this actually has a light mode to it that during the day, everything is white and standard Apple looking. But then at night, everything turns to black. So, you know, from a visual perspective, it's much more pleasing to use the dark at night. Like if you're laying in bed and you go to send a text message and it's bright white, it kills your eyes when you're sitting in a black room. When you have a black screen, it's really awesome and it really helps. So I do a lot of work. I do a lot of work at night. So this is something that I absolutely love. So screen, the other thing about the screen is the size of it. So right now, one of the things I want to point out is this is the Apple 16. This Apple 16-inch can fit inside of my 15-inch Dell. No joke. You could sit it straight down inside, but that's because the majority of the Dell is casing. There's a lot less casing. If you look at the screen, it almost goes edge to edge. There's maybe a quarter of an inch, maybe even less than that. Let's take a look. It's exactly a quarter of an inch. That much. A quarter of an inch of the screen side to side, and at the top, just shy of a half inch. Just shy of a half inch. So the majority of the screen is screen. So that means you're carrying less computer. Now, I can't compare it to the 15. I've seen some other vlogs where they compare it to the 15. I never had the 15, so I can't do it. But it's absolutely, to me, going from PC to here, while the PC gets the win on port options, I mean, this PC right here, this Dell, has 2 USBs, an RGB, an HDMI, another USB, and then on this side, you've got a slot for, I don't know what that slot's for. I've never used it before, so I have no idea. Oh, you also have the SD card slot. The dongle, you got to, as I said in the beginning, you got to use a dongle to do all that on here. So I'm going to give the edge to PC for those things and the charger cord. Otherwise, so far, screen 10 times better than any PC screen I've ever used. Let's talk now about the keyboard. And this I want to try to get a little bit of a better angle at. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the keyboard and talk to you while you're looking at the keyboard. This keyboard is so low profile and so clean. Now, I will say, I showed it to my wife and she was not as impressed as I was of the keyboard. But for me, when you compare it to a keyboard on a PC, like the Lenovo here, the keys on there on the Apple are much lower than these ones are, so the low profile aspect is there. And the other thing too is, listen to the sound if I were to hit G on here. A little clacky. Thud and a clack on here. Now listen to the G on here. There's something about it that's just so stinking pleasant. It's unreal. But my favorite part about this keyboard is the touch strip here. So watch the touch strip in action. You open up all of your options. So let's say I want to be able to open up my menu. I click this and all of my apps show up. Now, one thing I know from the 15 to the 16 is this dedicated escape key. That escape key used to be part of the touch strip, and now it's got its own button. And apparently it was very glitchy before, and people were not a fan of it. Let me show you what else works with the touch bar. Let's say I open up Safari. Okay, you can see what comes up here right here. These are my bookmarks. Any bookmarks that I put on Safari will show up here. So if I tap Twitter, it automatically opens up my Twitter account. It is just the coolest thing. You can search for a website here. The other thing I love is, let's say I have multiple tabs open. Hang on, I'll show you that. We'll go to my Zoho CRM. Now it shows you your 2 different tabs. So you can switch between your tabs right from that touch. Now let's talk about the touchpad. The touchpad is also one of my favorite parts of this piece. And I'm going to show you a couple other touchpads. This is the touchpad on the Lenovo. Now, one of the things I hate about this touchpad is its sensitivity. So first off, it's very small, right? So you're coming across the screen, you're only about halfway there, you got to go twice. So that's annoying. Whereas the touchpad on the Apple, much larger. Also, if you're typing and your thumb taps on the touchpad on this one, it'll jump your cursor somewhere else. On the Dell, the touchpad is also much smaller. It's a little bit bigger than the Lenovo, but you still have the same issue. I got to constantly go like this to get across the screen. Now, you could increase the sensitivity, but that's kind of annoying. And let's be for real, this, I don't know anybody who uses it, and it's so impossible to be accurate with it. It's frustrating. It's a little less sensitive. It works a little bit better. I do like it. And you do have the options of left and right click here, left and right click here. There's a little bit more option here. In fact, if I were to give keyboard to keyboard and touchpad to touchpad, I would go Dell for the keyboard touchpad, but I would go to Lenovo for all the insides. I think the insides of the Lenovo are higher quality than, as well as the screen resolution, than on the Dell. All right, so one of the things that was a big sticking point for me as well was the fact that I can't right click. I'm a right click fiend. I'm constantly opening up new tabs and doing other things, so I use right click a lot. Pro tip on the Mac: you could change your settings so that your right click can be the bottom right, or you could do 2 fingers. So you can either 2 fingers on a link, or you can tap the bottom right. I chose to tap the bottom right, but the sensitivity, everything about this touchpad is way more superior than the touchpads on the other 2. Now, I'm a mouse guy. I prefer using a mouse, so that's exactly what I'm gonna be doing. I'm ordering a mouse today, as well as the dongles. But this touchpad, I have no problem using it. If I'm sitting on the couch working, I have no problem using it in building websites and doing different things like that. It's really clean and it's a lot of fun to use. So all in all, as I said before, I've got to give the edge to the Apple so far. I've been using it now for 24 hours. I picked it up yesterday morning, brought it home, unboxed it, tinkered with it, worked on a couple websites last night and did some other things. And outside of some of my frustrations with connectivity, so, you know, with the USB-Cs and the charging and that kind of, it really is and has been a more superior product. And if you're an Apple person that you use an iPad, like, so it's not down here, but I use an iPad and an iPhone. This thing links up all together. I could get my text messages and my phone calls on this computer now because it's all linked up together. So your connectivity from that perspective is fantastic. I truly do recommend Apple products now. I'm not a paid spokesperson by any means necessary, but I do want to say that so far it's been awesome. Its functionality is great. And in comparison to the hardware, to the quality of the PC, I am so far preferring using Apple. So that's it for the unboxing. I hope you guys liked the video. Comment below. Let me know what you think of the Apple. If there's anything I missed, please comment below and tell me what I missed, because I would love to hear from other people what their thoughts were. But this is a complete non-Apple's person's perspective who has now become an Apple person. Let me think of how to say this right. This is a PC owner's perspective who has now completely changed over to Apple on the Apple MacBook Pro, and I've got to say, it's just awesome. I'm so far in the last 24 hours seeing why everybody in the creative space is using Apple for their business. So if you can afford it, go out and get one. Make it an investment today. Check it out. It's great. And I'm going to totally geek out over this thing for the next year of my life. All right, guys, have a great one. Like I said, comment below, follow me on Twitter, and otherwise, I hope you have a great day. Take care. Remember, be little, think big. Have a great one, guys.